Welcome to the Built From Here podcast. On this episode, it is my great honor to be introducing you to CGA member Brandon Balabus. Brandon is really a part of Cornerstone and the SOK crew tribe. You know, he's gone all in. That's what we were kind of talking about before we got on the call here. And I just love it. I love going all in. I think that represents who Cornerstone members are, and I could tell that that's the type of guy that Brandon is. We're going to get more into his story here in a minute, but he's from the Northeast. He'll tell you a little more about where he resides currently and just what his life looks like. But this is going to be a great episode, and I really look forward to sharing it with you. So welcome aboard, Brandon. Glad you're here.
Thanks, man. I'm super pumped to be on here talking to you, watching all these videos now for over a year. I feel like I know you, it's pretty wild.
It kind of is crazy to like have the opportunity to be talking with you. For me, it's a great honor to have someone that follows our videos. And then here we are, you've been in around a year, and like you've stayed with us, right? You've gone through every single day, all the weekly training, and here you are now. So to me, I didn't envision this when we first started this stuff, the Cornerstone especially. We were just thinking we're going to get a cool course and help people. And then it became the best part is getting to talk to we call it the CGA family, and just getting on these conversations and hearing about your life and where you're from and how things have gone, because we have that one common journey that we all go on, which is the dog training journey. And we all know what that's like. It can be full of ups and downs. So man, I'm glad to be talking to you, and thanks for taking the time to share with the people that listen to Build From Here. I know they're going to enjoy this conversation. Before we go too much further, just give us a little background, where you're from, all that good stuff, so they get to know you a little bit, and then we're going to dive in after that to the journey of picking up Luna.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I grew up, so I live on Long Island, New York, which is just outside the city on our own little island out here. I grew up in this city outside the city. I know, complicated, a beach town right on a barrier island called Long Beach. And it's a cool town. We have the bay on one side of the barrier islands and the ocean on the other. You can literally ride your bike or skateboard from the bay to the ocean.
Wow.
So it was a great place to be a kid. When I was a kid, I grew up surfing, in a beach town. Everybody surfed, and which you would never think of in New York, I know, but it was just all about the water. I lived on a canal, so I was on the water my whole life. Crabbing, clamming, just being in boats. And I just spent my whole life on the water. And honestly, we'll get into that, but I think that's kind of how I actually got into duck hunting. But so I grew up there, and then I spent a little time in Hawaii. I lived in Hawaii for a couple of years, went to school there.
Wow.
And
that's pretty nice. Yeah. Not bad. You went from one water to a lot different water.
I did a little bit too much surfing there and not enough studying. Parents weren't too stoked on that. And then came home and decided I wanted to go to PA school or medical school I know you're familiar with a physician assistant. And so I just put my head down to the books. That was a long journey. I did that, graduated, started my first job in the Bronx, in the busiest ER in the country.
No way.
Yeah.
I bet we could probably have a long podcast
you could have
about
a podcast
that.
on that place. It's wild. So I worked there, and that led me to my next job out on Long Island. Just on the bay. The next hospital I worked is right on the bay, called Good Samaritan, and that's where I met my wife. And fast forward to where we are now. 11 years later.
Wow.
That's the Cliff Notes. But
I love it. Long Island, New York, pretty close to the city. How many? Are you an hour from?
Probably like 45 minutes from Manhattan.
That's crazy.
There's 5 boroughs. When you live here, we only really call Manhattan the city. Everything else is just Queens, Brooklyn, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, where I grew up in Long Beach is literally on the border of Queens and Nassau County. So yeah, I mean, it's right there. Quick train ride away. It's easy. Yeah.
You know, when you think of, like, the city or even, I guess, Long Island in general, you don't think, like, dogs and outdoor stuff, but that's pretty cool. When we talked the other day, I was looking up on the map, I was like, it did look pretty awesome. I could see the beach there, and I could see the bay. I was like, "This seems like really kind of a hidden paradise that you might not think about." Um,
Oh,
so
100%. Yeah, I mean, I love it here. You'd never think it, but, our bay system here, the boating we have here, the beaches, I mean, I've been a lot of places, and it's really beautiful here, which you would never guess in a million years, an hour outside of the city, and it's
Wow.
great, you know? Mhm.
Where did the duck stuff come in? Were you
Well,
duck hunting around where you grew up
mm,
on Long Island,
yeah.
on the canals there?
Yeah, so I grew up on the water. My father owned a boat dealership, or he was part owners in a boat dealership. So I've just been on boats, the bay, and the ocean my whole life. And but I never hunted. It was probably around the year before COVID, and one of my coworkers and surfing buddies, um, he wound up getting into hunting like big time. And I would just watch his Instagram, and he'd be posting all these videos, and I wasn't really sure if I wanted to, like, shoot animals yet, but I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Man, like, this guy's out on the bay in the winter," and, like, the winter is the only time I'm not on the bay, and, I'm like, I'm texting him like, "I wanna go out with you. I don't wanna shoot a duck. I just wanna, like I wanna go out in the boat," you know? And, it wasn't probably actually until that maybe it was that year or the following year, the year of COVID, that everything
Yeah.
was locked down, and I'm like, we're still working, but, he took me out, and, I just got to observe, and I was like, "Oh, man, this is this is it, like, I wanna do this." I was that was it, and, like, I just as you guessed in the beginning of this podcast, like, when I decide I'm gonna do something, I'm going all in, so I wound up, basically one of so he was the first one to show me duck hunting, and then I wound up reaching out to, it's just one of these things that people that surf, people that fish, that I'm all friends with already, some of them actually hunt ducks too. It just kind of goes together, the whole being on the water thing. And one of my wife's good friends that she grew up with, and her best friend's best friend, is like one of the best duck hunters on Long Island. So I
Wow.
reached out to him. I'm like, "Hey, I met you at, Allie's wedding. I don't know if you remember me, but I hear you're the man with duck hunting. I'd love to talk with you." And that sparked our whole. Now he's one of my best friends, but
Wow.
he
Wow.
took me out and showed me pretty much everything that I know, which was with duck hunting, there's no cornerstone for duck hunting. Like if you don't
That's right.
you know, if you don't have somebody showing you the ropes, it's gonna take you a decade just to sort of figure out how to be mediocre at it, and, I've been lucky enough that I had this huge leap forward by being shown my area and how to hunt it by
Wow.
somebody that's, generationally he's like 2 or 3 generations into this area of hunting, so he showed me a lot. So that's kinda how I got into it. It was really my passion for being on the water. The winter here is beautiful on the bay. It's crystal clear water,
Wow.
tons of life, which again, you would never guess. It's more life in the winter here than in the summer. And it's just, that's what got me into it. But I also knew that when I got into hunting, me and my wife are big dog lovers. We had 4 dogs at the time. None of them were trained.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it was crazy here. But
Nice.
I knew that I was like, hey, I'm getting into this duck hunting, and our next dog, I don't know when that's going to be, is going to be a duck dog. And it was also probably around that time where like I Googled, gun dogs or something, and Barton's video of Say When that I'm sure you've like
Oh, yeah.
everybody's watched, you know? It's like I saw that, I'm like, all right, I'm getting a dog. I don't know when, and it's gonna be from this guy, Southern Oaks. And anyway, we couldn't do it for quite a while. Unfortunately our dogs got old and 2 of them passed on. And that's when we sort of finally put our application in um, to Southern Oaks about getting a puppy.
Wow. What did
Mhm,
that process look like for you? And so y'all had dogs in the past, so y'all are familiar with
mhm.
dogs. This is a little bit of a different, I would imagine your approach is gonna be a little bit different this time because this is very purposeful. Like, we're getting a duck hunting dog. It's gotta be the family dog too. So what did that look like as you went through his, application process, which, that is the best place to start if you want a puppy, but that's okay, you just need to fill out that application.
Yeah, it's easy enough. It's a pretty in-depth application, which I appreciate. But we filled it out, and I put in there like, they ask you when you want it. I said like 6 to 12 months or something like that. I
Yeah.
said, and so I filled out the application, and I think they send you an email back saying that we've received it, and you'll be hearing from us soon, sort of thing. And then I have a friend, Aaron, who he works for Boss,
Yes.
Shot Shells, and he
Shout out
actually,
to Boss and Aaron, great dudes.
100%, yeah, he's awesome, and he lives, I think, I think he said right down the street from Barton, so they're good friends. And I reached out to him because I know he had an SOK dog, and I said, "Hey, man, I finally put in an application for this dog we've been waiting years to buy." Um, I was like, I just wanted to let him know, and I was like, "What are your thoughts?" And he called me, and he was like, "Listen, he loves his dog Arthur, and Arthur is a Raymond pup." And he's like, "I love all the dogs. Every SOK dog is great, but man, I love my dog, and you really should try to get a Raymond puppy." I was like, "Okay." So now in my head, I'm like, Raymond puppy. Now I'm like, I had no specific dog in mind. I figured that I'd talk with somebody, they'd tell me what I needed, and that was that. So he's like, "No, no, you should get a Raymond puppy." So he gave me Don and Wally's number in Michigan, and I called Don, and we had probably an hour or two conversation about what I was looking for in a dog, and it was probably everything you've already heard before. I wanted a family dog. I said our house is crazy. I have 3 kids at this time, 2 untrained dogs. We have chickens. We spend probably half the year that it's nice out here. We have multiple boats. We're on the boat every day. The kids are home. We're on the beach. I want to take this dog everywhere. So that's number one. And then, yeah, I need a dog to hunt. And the way we hunt ducks here on Long Island is really different from most of the country. Um, so I said that I wanted a small lab. I wanted a small lab because I have a small sneak boat. I don't want to be picking up an 80-pound dog out of the water and, dealing with all that. And just for travel too.
Right,
Um,
right.
so it kind of, stemmed from that. And unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately because it worked out. He's like, "What you're looking for is going to be in about a year from now." And I was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Thought
Yeah.
maybe like 6 months. But he's like, "This was literally like April, not last April, the April before." And
Wow.
so I said, "Okay, put me on the list." And he put me on the list, and I wound up being first pick, which I know that doesn't matter, but we turned it into something really fun for the kids. So when it was finally time, and Raymond and Raven had puppies in April last year, the puppy pickup was Father's Day weekend in June.
Oh, really?
So
Wow,
we
wow.
made it a whole family trip. We took the kids, we flew to Michigan, um, drove to, actually, first day we went to the Boss factory, which was very cool. And then we went and picked up Luna on that Saturday, and we had first pick of a black female, and I just let the kids pick. I was like, I don't care which one, and I just figured it'd be really fun for the kids to pick a dog. And we kind of they just let the dog kind of pick them, whatever dog the puppy was coming up to them, and that's how we got Luna. And we spent that whole day in Michigan. Her first day, that Saturday, we took her to a brewery. That was her first puppy experience in
Wow,
Michigan. And the next day we flew home, and it was Father's Day, and we spent
wow,
that here. Yeah.
wow.
So it
So
was
we're
kind of
just over a year, I
just
guess.
over a year. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
That must have been so fun, just the kids and everybody,
Right.
just
It was a
that's a
whole
very
family
big
experience.
moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was fun. Yeah.
How was it when you brought the puppy home? So you flew back with the pup, I'm assuming, and then y'all landed, you get back into the home. what was the first week like for you guys?
Well, the whole flight thing, all that was great, better than I thought it would go. Going home was fine too. It was a lot of exposure for her. You know, the 2 dogs, the older dogs, now they're 13, my older dogs, and, they were
Wow.
fine. They were just like, "Who's this thing? What is this thing?" But they were, fine. She was already trying to play with them. She was very curious about the chickens right away.
Oh, I
Um,
bet.
yeah.
That's a good sign, that's a good
Yeah,
sign.
yeah, but it was all good. The crate training was a little rough. You watch the videos on I got Cornerstone immediately. I talked to Barton. I got the whole complete retriever. And I watched it in preparation, and I listened to all about the crate training. But, it had to be tweaked a little bit for us just because, 3 little kids, 2 other dogs, if she barked in the middle of the night and I had to go down and let her out and she didn't wanna go back to sleep, if I put her back in the kennel, to do the whole extinction principle, she would bark for, like, 30 minutes, and
Oh, so it's rough.
then I had kids waking up, and my wife is like, "Yo, you can't do this, man. Like, I don't care what your program says." So I spent that whole
It's
spring and half
amazing
my
when the
summer.
sleep is attacked, everybody
Oh,
gets
no, yeah, they
angry.
nobody could handle it, so and I get it. So, basically, I kind of there wasn't complete extinction. There was during the day. She was,
Yeah,
we were stayed tried and true with that. It was just that whole nighttime wake up when she peed in the middle of the night, took her out. She never had any accidents, but,
that's amazing, that's great.
yeah, she was good with that. It was just, she didn't wanna go back to sleep at 3 in the morning after she peed. So,
Yeah.
I literally laid on the couch, snuggled her on the couch, probably everything you're not supposed to do with a 10-week-old dog, and, we slept until 5 or 6 on the couch, and she had to go back out, and then we started our day, and it was a very tired spring for me. I really, I didn't get much sleep last year, but,
Oh, man.
that faded fast and, it went by pretty fast. It wasn't that bad.
It's just part of the process, and hey, it worked out in the end, and that's what
No, yeah,
matters.
she's fine. This dog doesn't make a peep in that kennel, you know?
That's
Yeah,
hey, and that's whatever you did it right.
yeah.
Sounds like you handled that well, so that's good. How let me ask this, you had that experience, what was your mindset going into this? Like, you were thinking about this for a year as you're on the wait list, you've got your dog, you go full send on Cornerstone. Was there apprehensions that you had about training the dog, or you felt pretty confident
Well,
before you got
uh,
started? What was that like for you?
uh, I mean, I think I'm a bit of an overthinker, um, so I'm always second guessing everything, and, it's like a blessing and a curse, these problems I have, but, yeah, I mean, right away, and Barton, you could reach out to Barton, he gets right back to you, which is amazing, and, I messaged him right away that, after I decided about a Raymond puppy, and I asked him about Cornerstone. I mean, this is literally, like, 8 months before I got Luna, I was talking to Barton about Cornerstone probably, and I'm like, explaining him to the way we hunt here, which we can touch on too, and I was like, "I really think I just need the basic retriever. I don't think I'm gonna need blind retrieves and all this stuff. I mean, I'm shooting ducks at 10 yards, I don't think I'm gonna need all that, and he's like, just talking with you and seeing how you are, I think you might wanna get the whole thing because I think you're gonna really get into this and you're gonna want the whole thing." And he was 100% right. I'm so happy I bought the complete retriever, um, which has everything. It has the older modules, which were also helpful, as well as the whole 52 plus. And obviously, here I am. I'm 100% into it, and I love it. It's just it's so much fun. But you have the apprehensions. Like I've never trained a dog at all, ever. Like none of my dogs are trained. I don't even know if they know how to sit. Half these dogs that I've had. So I didn't know, but I knew that my personality. That I was like, when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And but I didn't. You're nervous. Like, what if I mess something up? All this stuff, and of course, you're always gonna second guess yourself, and we went through a few little struggles too, where I was second guessing myself through the process as well, which is normal,
Well,
but
let's dive into some of that real quick because I think when we talked, you had some pretty unique things that had happened. Uh, Almost everything like that could have gone wrong went wrong, like with important things.
oh,
Let's just talk about that real quick, and
uh,
because I that will hopefully encourage some people if any of this has happened to them, that
100%.
it's still possible to
Oh,
make
yeah.
everything work out.
I thought I ruined this dog several times, 100%. I was you know, I, well, first thing, so this puppy came home in June, the end of June, and, obviously, it was 4th of July, and there was fireworks every night. Where I live, I'm in a suburban community here. I mean, people are lighting off fireworks for, like, weeks, you know? That's and they didn't bother her, when they were far away. Um, so it was probably just after 4th of July, we went to a block party, and, it was also, like, my best friend's son's birthday/block slash block party, and we brought the puppy. We thought it'd be a great s everything's about socializing the first few weeks. I've brought the dog everywhere. Brought the dog to the block party. I'm like, "Oh, it's mid-July." Didn't even think about fireworks, you know? And, the party, everything was great. We were there for a couple hours. Luna did very well. There was other dogs there, lots of people. She did great, and then, it got dark, and I didn't even know they were putting fireworks out in front of the house, and I
Oh
mean
man.
and all of a sudden, I just heard somebody say like, "Alright, we're lighting them off, look out." I'm like, "What?" You know? I didn't even know they were out there, and now I have this, I don't know what
Oh
she was,
man.
three-month-old dog, and anyways, yeah, they lit off every giant firework in the world, and we were like, not even 100 yards away. So I'm like, "What do you do? What do I do?"
Mm.
I start walking away with her. I didn't wanna pamper her too much. I just walked away with her. I just started walking down the block as far as I could, as swiftly as I could, not running, but we just and she was looking around, she was jumping every firework she heard. She didn't know what it was, you know?
Oh
Um,
man.
and I mean, I left and I was pissed, not really at my friends, I was like, because it's not their job to tell me they're lighting off fireworks for my dog. It didn't even cross their mind, you know?
Yeah.
Just kinda pissed at myself, that, I left. I was freaking out to my wife on the ride home. I'm like, "I ruined this dog, man." How am I gonna do this now? Like, now I just scared her for gunshots her whole life, you know? Um, so that weighed on me, which we wouldn't find out if that was true for many months.
Yeah.
We're a long way from basic gun dog. So, so that weighed on me this whole foundation period. But, I went through that whole process and then not even, it's still that
Hey,
summer.
but
It's
before we
probably,
go into the next thing, I just
yeah,
gotta say you did a good thing. A lot of people, and this is a nugget for people, a lot of people make the mistake that when they think something goes wrong, they immediately say, "Well, now I gotta go test it and get the dog through this." But you said a key word, you said it wasn't for many months that we were gonna get to basic gun dog. You choosing to wait did a lot of good for you because you had that time to build the bond with the dog before it was time to reintroduce that, and your dog also fell in love with everything you were doing, so I just had to throw that out there just because I've heard this story many times, and a lot of people don't wait. They're like, "We've gotta fix it now," and they end up
right.
making the problem worse, so good on
Yeah.
you for riding it out even though it was weighing on your mind every every
No,
single day.
100%. Thanks. And I think that's a good point. Like, I think that makes sense for a lot of things we do with her is to, when something doesn't go right or goes wrong, your mind goes immediately like, I need to do it again and fix it. And sometimes it's better to just to wait, do something else for now, come circle back to that. But anyways, yeah, so the next thing that kind of went wrong was we got invited over to let the kids swim in my wife's best friend's pool. And they have kids and they had a puppy there and we had a puppy. They're like, bring Luna, it'll be fun. They could run around the backyard together. I'm like, great, socializing my dog. I'm still, bringing her everywhere. So I did, and they did really awesome. They were just running around being puppies and all that stuff. And my wife was sitting in the pool with the edge of the pool with her legs in. And the kids are in the pool and you know, I'm just kind of standing watching Luna, and she gets like the zoomies, and
Oh, yeah.
she's running around the perimeter of this pool, chasing this other dog, and the dog's chasing her. And I'm just like, I said it before it was going to happen because she jumped. This dog loves to jump. She jumped over my wife's legs like several times doing their zoomies. I'm like, Kelly, this dog's going to fall in this pool. Like, don't let her do that, like, and it was the next lap that she went to like jump over my wife's legs and she moved at that moment and like it bumped into her leg. Luna bumped into her leg and like fell face first into the pool. Like there was no swimming here. This dog nosedived into the pool and was like 3 feet underwater. I grabbed her and lifted her up out of the pool, got her
Oh.
out. She looked scared. I'm like, oh my God, dude. I'm gonna have the only Southern Oak dog that's scared of gunshots and scared of water. Like this is like I ruined this dog. Um, so again, I left like kind of pissed at myself again. Like, what could I have done different? I should have never let them run around next to the pool. I don't know. It just
Yeah.
happened so fast. And then I kind of once you went in, it just happened so fast too that I was expecting her to start swimming and she didn't. She literally was like
Just
underwater. You
sinking.
know?
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah,
Yeah.
about worst that could have happened happened.
Yeah, 100%, so that was that. I mean, one more thing that wasn't as bad is kinda later on, um, in the early fall, the chickens my 2 older dogs get along good with the chickens, but Luna does not. Um, and I really thought about, do I train her to get along with the chickens when they're free ranging? When they're in their run, it's fine, they're in there, she doesn't bother them, they don't bother her, but when they're out free ranging, do I train her not to chase them? I was like, I don't know. I like to have that prey drive. So, anyways, I didn't, and one of the kids let Luna out when the chickens were out, and my wife was outside with the chickens. I was downstairs. I don't know what I was doing, and I have it on my Ring camera. It's pretty funny. But Luna went out, and I don't know. Maybe she was like 4 or 5 months old. She ran straight for these chickens and picked one up and was running around the yard with the chicken. And my wife screaming at her, "No, Luna, no, drop that chicken!" Like screaming at Luna. And anyways, like she got the chicken out of Luna's mouth. She like tapped her on the nose, saying no. And
Oh, no.
yeah, so I had this like big fight with my wife. I was like, bro, like you just told her no for doing what she's meant to do. It's like it's our fault that she got out. Anyways, yeah, that took a long time, because it's happened several times since then.
Hey,
Uh,
once they draw first blood, it's over. They're
yeah.
they're hooked forever.
Yeah, so but, it took some time for my wife and the kids to get through that whole process that you learn in Cornerstone, which is like, I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but it's like, when you tell my whole family that when the dog picks something up, you don't tell it no. Like, that was mind-blowing for the whole family, "What do you mean? We've been taught our whole," that's what you do your whole life when the dog does something, "No, no," you say, "Good girl," and you say, "Come here," "Bring it to me."
Yeah.
Same thing with the chickens. It's like when she picks one up. But, that took some time, but everybody's on the same page now. But yeah, there was, like, several of those things that happened that I was really that you don't get to, in Cornerstone for a little while, that I was worried about. I was worried that when I get there, like, how is she gonna react to water? How is she gonna react to gunfire and ducks and such. We do spend a lot of time on the boat, so that summer, we did take her on the boat a lot, and we never forced her to swim. That was another thing. I just ever since that happened, I just didn't want her to be scared of the water. I figured it was better for her not to even go in the water at that point
Right.
for a little
Right.
while. We would go to these bay beaches and, I just let her run on the beach, and if she wanted to put her feet in the water, great. I never did puppy retrieves or I didn't do any of that stuff. At the end of the summer, we did one day of it just to like see, and she actually swam. I was like, okay, all right, maybe the water thing is good. Maybe we're all right. I did that before it got cold. Um, but anyways, yeah. So that was a couple of the little hurdles that we went through that are probably worst case scenario stuff.
That's pretty much the 3 big ones. I mean, what, gunfire, water, and then birds.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's what I mean, like, it really
the 3
right?
biggest fears. I don't know
Yep,
if it gets any, more concerning than that, but you handled it well. I mean, you did the right things, and the big thing, like, I love what you said there too, is you didn't just try to force the dog in the water. It was totally the dog's decision. It's always best to approach things that way because once it's their decision, they're gonna love it.
yep,
You can also, like, reverse think about this, and it might help some people, or it helps me sometimes, is when your dog does stuff you don't want it to do, and sometimes it's kind of hard to get them not to do it. Well, why are they doing it? Well, they just really wanna do it. So if you go with that philosophy and that mindset, "Hey, look, if I just this is a hunting dog, it's a water dog. Odds are those things are gonna work out as long as we don't try to force it." We go at the dog's pace, and, it typically works out well, so, it seems to have for you. So, let's actually continue on this line of thinking because with those things happening, that like you said, you carried those with you through training. How did you sort through that? How did you navigate that mentally so that it didn't keep you from progressing? Because it sounds like you were able to progress anyways, despite those things, and a lot of times those things happening, if you don't get a control of those thoughts quickly, can mess up how your training goes.
yeah, I I had a lot of this talk with my wife too of my concerns, and she's always like, "It's gonna be fine," she's that, and I'm like, "All right, but what about this? What about that?" Um, but I pretty much I just put it to the back of my mind. I said, "Let's just get through the foundations. Let's get up to the whole fetch, hold, release portion and see how it all goes, and then, we'll maybe get up to gunfire right around the start of duck season, and see how it goes." But I really just put it to the back of my mind. I said, "The dog's probably gonna be fine. Let's just not worry about it right now and just, build the bond like you said." And I think that if she goes through all these phases and you build this bond and you build this drive, she's probably not even gonna think about the water. She's just gonna do it.
Yeah.
Um, but it was always in the back of my mind, but I tried not to think about it. I never knew for sure if it worked or not until we had that reassuring thing in the early fall when I took her out on the boat and she did okay. Um, but we went through the fetch hold release thing is another thing that you read about. People struggle with that, and again, I'm an overthinker. I'm reading through I think it was at the time that you kind of switched from the Facebook community to like the app community. Um, but I was reading through I was like searching fetch hold release problems or whatever, and I read through everybody's struggles.
You're looking for the problem.
I'm like, what do I do when I'm like waiting for the problem, like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
um but actually fetch hold release for Luna was very easy. I hate to call anything easy, but it was not a
Good.
problem. We didn't hit any roadblocks. You know, I I I did everything, every part of it the way we were supposed. Oh, actually, you know what? There was one part. I will say this, and I know you say this a lot, and this has been a little bit of a mantra for me a bit. Like train the dog in front of you.
Yeah, yeah.
And every dog is different, and Luna is different too. You watch Violet, who's a very high drive dog, um, and Luna is also a high drive dog, but she's a little different. She's also
Nice.
like very naturally steady, and if you're not careful, she'll get bored easily.
Mm,
So
mm.
there's a weird fine line of the dogs, like a fireball to she'll just, if you bore her, she'll lose all interest. Um, so when we did the lane was a little bit of a problem because we would do everything, but the lane being so confined for her, she would do a retrieve at like a snail's pace. Um, so I kind of
That's
tweaked it for
hilarious.
her when I would be like, okay, let's just get a few retrieves in the lane that you're going to walk out to. She would go there and back and hold it and sit and do everything she's supposed to, but like zero fire. And then I would walk outside the lane and throw the bumper 25 yards across my yard and release her, and she would take off like a rocket. and come straight back. And it's like, as long as she comes straight back, and we're not creating the bad habit, I'm gonna do that. And so we tweaked it a little bit, which is kind of my story also with Luna. Little things we tweaked just to kind of fit her personality. So I always kind of had that mindset. I was like, as long as I'm not creating a problem, if it works better for her, I'm gonna do it this way.
Perfect.
Um, which I
Yeah,
think
I wanna
Cornerstone.
highlight that too, because like, I mean, that's exactly what we want you to do, is don't be afraid to think outside the box, right? We're teaching these dogs to think outside the box and be problem solvers, and you're learning that as you go through the process too, and I don't think you could have done it any better, right? You could have, I mean, now you could have ran into a big problem right there. You could have said, "I'm not gonna tweak this. I'm gonna just stay right in this lane." Guaranteed, that would not have ended well. You with that dog walking
Yeah.
out, you would have 100% created a problem and needed by pulling your hair out, when in reality, all you had to do is just step out of the lane, and then here
Yeah,
you go.
and that was sorry to interrupt, but it was another thing in that part was the denials, which, Violet sometimes would break, very rarely, but, like, I knew like, watching your videos, I knew that was, like, something that, Violet needed to be she needed to be toned down a little bit, it seemed like,
Yes,
Um,
100%.
where Luna, I would do denials and still do denials once in a while, but if I did too many, it would shut her down.
Mm.
So that was another thing too that I would just, tweak a little bit. Like, if we had a really good thing going and she was steady, I just kept it going and would do one denial in a session rather than three or four because she was steady, she was good. And, you obviously want to teach them not every retrieve is theirs and all that, but too many denials in the lane would shut her down. And so I had to do little tweaks like that.
And that's fantastic. It's kinda like what we were talking about earlier. We were chatting through kids and, we've got 3, y'all have got some kids, and our lives are full and busy, but what's unique is that every kid has their very unique, different personality, and they're just unique, and so you pretty much have to talk to them the way that it makes sense for them, and it's the same thing for the dog. Violet had that personality and 100% correct. I've got Violet's daughter, she does not have the same personality. She still has the fire tendency, but only on release. Otherwise, she's very chill, and she doesn't need a lot of steadiness, which is interesting, whereas Violet needed a lot of that because Violet is always on the edge of just absolutely exploding and just going into it, which I like a lot of
Right.
times, except for when it blows up. Uh,
No, yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you learn the tweaking concept? Do you just naturally felt that way, or you felt like you got that from Cornerstone, the
I
permission to make tweaks? Or was it the
well,
community? What was the thing that led you to those tweaks, that concept?
I mean, I think that the big concept of Cornerstone is teaching you how to be a dog trainer. Like,
Right.
not like teaching you that there's not just one way to do it. There's a few ways. I mean, you just got to you're basically going by this protocol, but it's teaching you to read your dog and to make some game day decisions if you need to tweak something. I think I pretty much, it's not in any single video of yours, but it's watching many of them together that you learn that maybe I do need to tweak this a little bit for her or do this like this. So I would say a part of it is just me and reading extra material and going a little bit extra and reading the community stuff
All
and
in, baby, all in.
all in. But other things I tweaked too. We could fast forward a little bit and not telling anybody to do this. This is just Luna, you know, follow the protocol, but you know, like we got up to frozen ducks. Um, and by the way, we introduced Gunfire. I skipped over that part, but there was nothing for her. Like the first
That's
time,
amazing.
she didn't even like. It didn't matter to her at all. Like because we already built such momentum with all the marks and the lining memories that like, as long as that noise got associated with a retrieve, it didn't matter. And I didn't have a bird boy. I know we talked about this a little bit, but I'm kind of going a little bit back on the Gunfire thing. We use a slinger winger, which you bring up towards the end of intermediate gun dog as a good tool. I used it in basic gun dog because I didn't have a bird boy. So I figured, hey, I could use this tool. I could put it 100 yards away and I could use a remote, and when I launch the bumper, I could also shoot a primer. Um,
Nice.
and that's how I introduced her to Gunfire, was with a slinger winger and a primer, and it worked out awesome. It was
Wow.
actually
Wow.
it was a really good thing for somebody that, I'm off on weekdays and not many people are. I don't have many people that are around that could help me, so I had to do a lot of it on my own. So that was helpful. So, anyways, she was great with the Gunfire. That was no thing. I pretty much did it that way, other than I tweaked it using a slinger winger rather than a bird boy. Um, so that worked
Nice.
well.
That
Yeah.
was a big relief. No longer worried about it. All the things you were worried about, they ended up working out. That's great news.
Yes. And then, so now it's like the middle of winter, and I'm bringing home ducks all the time. And I'm like, I didn't even think it was a frozen duck. I just had fresh ducks, that I was introducing her to. And I watched the video, and you pretty much do it just like the fetch, hold, release module. You're holding the duck in front of the dog, you're saying fetch. And this was a no go for Luna. She would sniff it and pluck feathers.
Oh, no.
And this went on for a couple of days. And now I'm freaking out again. I'm like, great. You know, so, I watched on the older modules Barton do it um, a little bit different, and he made it more like a retrieve initially, like little fun retrieves with the duck. And I also reached out to Don and Wally at SOK North, and they sent me some videos on how they do it. And I was like, this might work for Luna's personality a little bit more, rather than like putting it in front of her face and say fetch. I was like, let's try this, which basically wound up being like on that older module. I literally took a fresh duck home. I think it was like a pintail or something, her first one. It was either a teal or a pintail.
Pretty
And I'm
fancy
like,
dog right there.
I know, right? Just throwing pintails around my backyard. But
We got people on here that have never even seen a pintail in the wild. They're
yeah.
like, "Man, I need a pintail."
Yeah, they're not on Long Island. Don't know, they're not here. No, but anyways, yeah, no, I like made it a fun retrieve, and I actually used my other dog, who's a 13-year-old lab, who's asleep over there, chocolate lab, and it really fires Luna up because she doesn't want him to get it. She's still a puppy, Luna. So no matter what I throw, she's going to run out there and pick it up. So I took the duck and I said, "You want it? You want it?" And I tossed it, and she ran over there and picked up the duck perfectly in the center, brought it back to me, and sat down. I'm like, "What?" Like,
There you go.
and then so I just did that a couple times, and then I went back to do it the Cornerstone way, with doing it just how he would do fetch, hold, release. But I just needed her to get a little fired up that this is what you're going to be picking up, and get that drive for picking it up. So I tweaked that little part, but we came right back and did it
Oh,
on the place board and
I mean,
everything else,
that's absolute perfection. I mean, you just that's exactly what you should do, and I hope that encourages people as they're listening to you right now. Um, it's okay to get outside the box, to tweak things a little bit. Like this is here as the guide, and we want you problem solving for yourself. And sometimes
Right,
it's as simple as stepping out of the lane, throwing the duck, letting the dog go get it. Whatever you gotta do to get momentum. Momentum's the key, and you found
right.
forward progress, and then you're able to go back and then tweak it up, make sure, hone it in. The reason we
Yes,
do that
yeah,
whole fetch and release anyways is just for the precision.
yeah,
We're just overtraining to the highest standard, and so but sometimes you do need to get them excited. It's really honestly the same process that you think about you start with, which is fun bumpers. As a puppy, you're just doing the same thing with a dog, fun duck, throw it, get them going, boom, get them back, tweaking it up, so
mhm.
makes me proud to hear you're doing all this and thinking outside the box. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, Cornerstone really teaches you how to think a little bit, and if you go all in, you'll see. You just got to train the dog in front of you, and you might have to do those little tweaks, but you still go by the principle and stuff, and you watch the videos and you still do it. But the little tweaks have helped me in Luna, and I think that's why I would say overall training Luna has been fairly fairly easy. I haven't had
Wow.
too many issues other than what we talked about, and stepping outside the lane, throwing the duck. There was, she did give that adolescent thing where there was a couple weeks where she seemed to forget everything we learned.
Yeah.
And I just tried not to get mad, which is a whole other thing with these dogs. Luna does not take well to getting yelled at.
Got a soft
She
heart.
it's we it's she has this fire in her, but also does not love discipline, like, as corrections, hard corrections.
Right, right.
um so it's, I don't know, a unique animal, like they all are. So I found that when she was having what even now, like, when we talked a week or so ago, and we talked about the Long Island chapter, which we made, which I'm sure we'll touch on at some point. I already
Yes.
have a few guys, and I had one of the guys, Brian. He got a dog the same day as me, but from a different litter. It was a rip litter,
Oh,
and
really? No way.
yeah, so they've trained together for a little while when they were puppies. He would come over with the dog, and when we were just doing like foundations, fetch, hold, release, and then his dog went back to Michigan for training for 6 months, and he just got her back. So we finally got to meet up the other day. And Luna, of course, it's just like anytime you meet up with somebody, your dog has like an awful day. It's like, you know,
Yes.
he sees all these videos of Luna like crushing it, and then like she's chasing rabbits around a field, and I can't recall her. So no, she did fine, but there was a few moments that she didn't obey what I wanted her to do, and you could get frustrated and all that, but it doesn't go anywhere with her. I'm better off just resetting and trying again and getting success, and that's what builds her more than yelling at her. It's if she goes out and she does a whistle stop and a cast and gets to the bumper and stops and sniffs it and looks at me and then sees a rabbit and chases it. I mean, you could lose your mind right there because you're like, "What are you doing? Like, what? You've done
Yes.
this a bunch of times. What are you doing right now?" Um, but you get them back, and you just, rather than like yell at them, I just repeat it and maybe shorten it up and maybe use a tennis ball to get her super amped up on this, lining memory or whatever it is, instead of a bumper. I just found that that does better for her than, yelling at her.
No, that's awesome. Well, yeah, so let's talk about the chapter for a second because that's something we've been doing at Cornerstone. We're very excited about. Well, I say we've been doing it. Actually, our members have been doing it. We just kind of facilitated it, and the members are jumping in and taking the initiative. When we talked, you're like, "Hey, yeah, we should do a chapter. We're already meeting up here, anyways." And so we set it up, and then you sent me a picture that afternoon. You are already out there training together. I thought that was cool. How has that
Yeah.
been even just in the short time so far, just having that ability to connect even the local group, of people there?
No, it's been really cool. And I like, quick background on that was basically, Luna has an Instagram account. We made her a little Instagram just so I could, look back and see the training and everything. So you could literally see her from day one. And a few of my friends over the years, acquaintances, they've seen her, and everybody writes to me all the time, like, "How do you do this?" And I tell everybody, even like Cornerstone, like, even if you have a house dog, man, get the obedience stuff, like Cornerstone. Like, this is what I use, I tell everybody. But two of my old fishing friends messaged me and they said, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting a new dog. I see all these videos of Luna. How do you do this?" Like, and I told them, get the dog you'd like. Um, I always, I'm a Southern Oak fan, obviously. As they say, starting out with the, you know, cards stacked in your favor or whatever the saying is best. But get whatever dog you want. But you got to get this program. Like, I can't say enough good things. Anyways, they both got dogs. They both got Cornerstone, and we've been texting ever since, which is
Wow.
probably going on 6 months now at least.
Wow.
So we had that, and then I had my other friend Brian, who got the Rip puppy the same time as me. So we had four people, and then we found out on Cornerstone on the app, there's a way you can like search people close by you or something. There's a tab for
Yes,
that.
yes,
And
yes.
I found another guy, Ben, who lives out in Montauk, which is a beautiful town, super unique also for our area. And he's got a puppy there too. And so we got five of us so
Wow.
far. Hopefully more people in the area. But yeah, so we've already been texting, and this hopefully will maybe get a few more people and we could have some meetups. We also live in a unique area, which is not just the way we hunt, but to
Right.
train a dog is tough. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't do gunfire around here. Like, I got to take the dog out on the bay. which lucky enough is only 5 minutes away. But you can't. I only have football fields to train this dog in.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
Football fields and town of Babylon parks, which you're not allowed to have dogs, period. And then there's a state park down the street from me, which has 3 baseball fields, like facing each other. And I use that a lot because it's a state park, so I could train the dog. But you can't do Gunfire; they're supposed to be on a leash.
Wow.
So I put the long lead on her, and so we could say she's on a leash, and we do her training there. So she does training at football fields and there, and then we go out on the bay. So it's good to get people together so we can hopefully have places we can meet up and we could throw everybody on my boat and go take them out, all these dogs out on the bay and do some water work and stuff, which I'm hoping that we do in the next few weeks actually, which
Oh,
would be
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's probably getting good up y'all's way now. I mean, man, this has been incredible. I'm excited. We're gonna have to do another one soon. As we kind of land the plane on this concept, I think community is a great way to end it. So I imagine you'll be hunting with your friends as well. I mean, you'll probably be all taking dogs out and all that. What are you thinking about? Like, what are you most excited about for this fall? Or kind of what's your game plan with where you're at now? You've been at this a year. This is where it's going to really turn out to be nice this fall as you guys start hunting. What's going through your mind? What are you doing to prepare? And how are you feeling about the upcoming season?
Well, I'm feeling really good about it. And again, I'm an overthinker, so I'm already preparing for duck season. you know, uh, we also have a unique way we hunt, which I'll touch on very briefly. We hunt in tidal marsh here, tidal salt marsh, and we have very very shallow water, and we have to use specific boats, and they're small boats for the most part. You cannot use a V bottom boat here. It has to be a flat bottom boat for the most part. Should be a flat bottom boat and sneak boats. So we put, they're all dressed in marsh grass with custom blinds. Everybody has a unique boat here. You'll never
Wow.
find an aluminum boat here. Everybody's got
Wow.
fiberglass sneak boats that draft, 2 or 3 inches of water with
Wow.
and that's how we get around. So you can only really hunt 2, 3 guys max at a time. So our hunting here is a little different. So it's mostly by myself or with one other guy, maybe two if we go on a bigger boat, but it's generally small groups, if not solo. So I prepared my boat for Luna. I made her all little steps and had a launch out of it, which will be part of our training this summer is getting the dog to launch out of the boat and climb back up the way I'd like her to. So that's part of the preparation, but I'm really looking forward to it. We're actually on the last week of intermediate gun dog.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
so we're introducing angle backs and pattern blinds right now, which she's doing well. We didn't do the angle back yet. I'm on day 2, so I have a couple days left. But we're T drills. Advanced gun dog starts next week, which is introduction to T drill. But I might have cheated and did it already a couple times. She's just
Good,
for
good.
funsies, so she already does it, kind of. But
Nice.
we're at a really fun place. I have a lot of fun training her in this part, intermediate gun dog, and I'm sure going forward is just so much fun for you and the dog. The control
Yes.
part is just,
Yes.
I mean, all of it's really fun, but this part is so interactive and fun. I really love it. And I'm glad that we're taking it the whole way. And
Yeah, I'm
so Luna,
glad you went all in.
oh,
Barton
100%. And
was
I would
right.
encourage everybody to. I'm sure they will once you get to a certain point. But
You're gonna fall in
Luna's,
love with it. I mean, it's
yeah,
fun. Once you've made
it's
it
super
that
fun.
far, you gotta go further
Yeah,
because, I
I
mean, why
couldn't
not?
imagine
Why
stopping
not?
at the end of basic gun dog and be like, "All right, we're good." No, I
Yeah,
there's no way. I don't think I'll ever be done. I think we'll be
yeah.
training for a few years. Um, but I'm very Luna is asleep over there right now, but she's been ready to hunt ducks. Probably could have even snuck her out, but I
Oh,
didn't want to
definitely.
do that last year, this past season. But she's 100% ready to hunt ducks right now. So we're very much looking forward to the opening day, and I can't wait to see her do it because she's a little hammer, this dog. So I can't wait to just watch her fly out of the boat. Like this dog, she's a jumper, man. Like I guess, like, a lot of those when you watch those British field trial dogs, they're hopping over fences and stuff, like, this is her. Like, she's a little small 48, 49-pound dog that could probably jump over this table right now. So
Wow.
I love watching her do stuff like that, so I can't wait to just see her fly out of the boat and grab a black duck and bring it back, you know?
Oh, man. I can't wait to see the video. You're gonna have to send me a video, or I honestly might have
Yeah,
to make it up there at some time point.
yeah, you wanna shoot
Man,
some black ducks, let me know.
oh, yeah, there's no question about that.
Yeah,
Well, Brandon, thank you so much for taking the time to share, and this has been an incredible episode. So many good nuggets, and I love your approach to things. I love how you've tweaked the things as you've needed to along the way, and really just you haven't worried about it. You've just kind of put one foot in front of the other, and it's turned out amazing for you, and it's going to really turn out amazing. We'll definitely do a follow-up podcast just to talk through this first season, the first few hunts, and just share how things have gone as you finish out the rest of 52 plus and the rest of the Cornerstone course. So thank you so much for sharing and everything. And this has been an incredible episode.
thanks, man.
Couldn't have picked a better guy to be on here. Thank you.